Good evening. Welcome to the July 1st, 2021 meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals. Tonight is the first time this board has met live since March of 2020. We're all very happy to be here. I'd like to welcome you all back. It's good to see everyone in person. As you may have seen on the signs when you walked into Town Hall, those who are fully vaccinated, at least 14 days from their last shot, are no longer required to wear a face covering at Town Hall, though as you can see, some of our board members and staff will be keeping their masks on. With that, I'd ask that you join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will be starting this meeting with the public hearings. As we only just found out recently that the meeting was going live, there are a few applicants who have requested that their hearings be postponed or adjourned since they were unable to attend tonight's meeting in person. As such, please listen, which we'll do shortly, for the date when they will be rescheduled for. Further, since members of the public also might not have been able to appear live tonight, I'm recommending to the board that unless otherwise stated at the end of each application, that the record remain open for written submissions for all purposes until July 29th, 2021. Any written submissions can be sent via email, mail, and/or dropped off at Town Hall to the board's attention or directly to our board secretary, Candace Cowell. As a reminder that applicants, agents, and members of the public speaking, other than attorneys, will be sworn in, will state their address for the record, and will offer their testimony as it relates to the application before the board. Members of the public are typically given a 3-minute time limit on their testimony, so please keep that in mind. A couple of other things, just wanted to make sure for those of you who are here, who have your cell phones on you, if you can do us a favor by silencing them or turning them off because they interfere with our recording equipment. In addition, I just want to mention that anyone who is waiting to be heard in connection with an application, if you can do us a favor and not speak to one another as you're waiting in the audience, it would be greatly appreciated because that also interferes with our recording equipment. Lastly, well, not quite lastly, but next I have emergency exit procedures. In case of an emergency evacuation, please exit through the rear doors of this room to one of the staircases across the hall and continue downstairs and out through the main entrance. Please do not attempt to use the elevators during an emergency evacuation. In case of a medical emergency, the automated external defibrillator and first aid kit are both located in the hallway on this floor opposite the elevator. Restrooms are located across the hall. And with that, wanted to ask if we can, I want to ask for a motion to approve the minutes of our last meeting.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Let me see. What am I doing? Mr. Daly.
Daly.
It's been a while since we've been in person, so I'm a little confused. Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. So minutes are approved, and next we will go on to the adjournments on the agenda.
Okay. The adjournments are, so you folks know, item 7, which is Thomas R. Stahecki Living Trust. Number 7, 1205 Majors Path, North Sea. I will move to adjourn that to our 7:15 meeting. Second.
Wait a second, is that what they requested, or?
That's what he requested.
Oh, okay.
Just for the next meeting?
Yeah, we'll get to them in November.
Okay.
Well, maybe because they might have to
We
read
haven't
this.
received the revised application yet, so I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll probably adjourning it again. Okay. Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Number 8, Round Dunes Inc., 101 Round Dune in East Quogue. I'll move to adjourn that to our 8:05 meeting. Second.
Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
No, we have to discuss them. They have to be the third chair.
You want to do that now?
Yep.
Okay.
That's the last
On
adjournment.
the decision calendar, Diego and Marlene Quizpa and Barbara Swislowski I will move that we'll have those decisions on our next meeting, which is 7:15.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And then Thomas and Eva DeVito, I'll move that to reopen that.
Second.
Mr. Tudhill?
Aye.
Mr. Daly?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Ms. Kern?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess? Chair votes aye, we're reopened.
Okay.
All right, so this was the application where there was a question whether or not there was a third story. We received a letter from Sean Barron that they do need a variance for a third story. So it was up for the board to decide whether you wanted to have them re-advertise, renotice, repost for relief for the third story, or just reopen and bring them back for testimony on the third story.
I'm for reposting, re-advertising.
I agree with the chair.
I agree.
Okay? So you just make a motion to re-advertise. Candace, what would be a good date for that?
Let's see.
January 2023.
Either 8,
Second meeting in August?
I would do 8/19,
8/19.
second meeting in August.
So that's your motion, Keith.
So it's reopened. Now I'm going to move to close it, and the motion is that they're going to have to re-add and do the whole 9 yards, and we'll put it on our agenda for 8/19.
Second.
Mr. Tudhill?
All right?
Mr. Daly?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Ms. Kern?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess? Chair votes aye.
Okay, going back to the beginning of the agenda, that's the end of our changes, so you folks know. First application, new application, is David and Abby Salzman, 50 Hawthorne Road in Shinnecock Hills, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-232-2-19. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the town code. 1, for the proposed two-story addition to an existing one-story dwelling on a non-conforming lot. 330-11, residential districts table of dimensional regulations for a principal total side yard setback of 36.3 feet where 60 feet is required, and 2, 330-11, for a principal rear yard setback of 60 feet where 70 feet is required. 2, for the proposed first-story deck over a lower-level house on the west side of the proposed addition, 330-11, for a principal total side yard setback of 59.8 feet where 60 feet is required. 3, for the proposed patio on the east side of the proposed addition, 330-11 residential districts table of dimensional regulations for a proposed accessory side yard setback of 10 feet plus or minus where 20 feet is required, and 2, 330-76D, placement of accessory building structures and uses in all districts, and 330-83C, yards to allow the proposed patio to be located within the required minimum and total side yard of the principal building and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction.
Yeah. Welcome back.
Good evening. So Susanna just had to swear you in. Also, I'm not sure if any of you folks are going to be speaking.
I think so. We
Yep.
can just swear
You
everybody.
can swear
in.
everybody in. So if you can all just state your names and addresses for the record, one at a time.
Susanna Herman and Consultants, 1319 North Sea Road, Southampton.
Okay?
Will Gothi, We Plus Architects, 760 Montauk Highway, Virginia, Watermill, New York.
Okay?
David Salzman, 50 Hawthorne Road, Southampton, New York.
Okay.
Abby Salzman, 50 Hawthorne Road, Southampton, New York.
And do you all swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes.
Thank you. Please tell us
Okay.
about the application.
So this application is at 50 Hawthorne Road in Shinnecock Hills. It fronts on Shinnecock Beach Road also, which is a trustee road owned by the trustees on the waterfront side of the property. The trustee road is adjacent to Shinnecock Bay. It is bulkheaded on the trustee property. Thus, we have a letter of non-jurisdiction from the DEC and from the Conservation Board because everything that we're proposing is more than 50 feet from high water. The property is zoned R40 and it's undersized at 29,305 square feet. The property slopes very steeply on the southern portion of the property, so that part of the property obviously needs to be avoided. which is why we're proposing the addition closer to the road than the existing portion of the house. The Salzmans have been very good stewards of the land, using the bluff only very sparingly for stairs and access down to the water across the Trustees Road. They've left the bluff and a lot of the property natural in order to preserve the wetlands and to preserve the bluff from erosion. There's a pre-existing one-story house on the property, which is only 9.9 feet from the westerly property line. And we're proposing to keep the existing house and add on a second-story addition, which would be landward of the existing house, and they would be connected. So because of the location of the existing house, only 9.9 feet from the westerly property line, even though the proposed two-story addition conforms to the side yard setbacks, we're creating a situation where the total side yard setback requires relief. The required total side yard setback in R40 is 60, and we're proposing to go to 38.4. But the addition itself does conform to those side yard setbacks and to total side yard. It also conforms to pyramid and to total allowable height.
Susanna, it's an addition, it's not a second house, right?
Correct, it's an addition.
The survey is confusing, because it does say one-story house to remain proposed two-story house.
Do you have the most current surveys that were submitted June
Maybe not,
18th?
maybe not. Maybe that's why.
The building department pointed that out.
Oh, okay.
And so we did correct that. So
Okay.
you should have a survey,
Maybe in our submittals.
June 18th.
Yeah,
No, I
in
definitely
submittals?
want plans.
Okay,
Just was looking at the survey.
got it.
Something on top of your,
Yeah.
This is the one,
You said this thing's going landward
This
towards
still says-
Hawthorne, right?
Yes.
That's what you're doing?
Yeah.
We,
yeah, it says proposed two-story house, the one that we have that was in the packet.
It's there.
so we did submit those
Yep, we got 'em.
last week, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so you should be looking at
I
a
just
June
haven't put it
18th
all
survey.
together, that's all.
Yeah, it is, the whole project is confusing, so bear with us as we go through it, and please let me know if you have any questions.
We like confusing.
Yeah,
I get all the most interesting ones.
we'll let you know right away.
All right, so it's a very sloped property. There's
Topography?
The topography slopes very steeply from the water all the way up to Hawthorne Road. The elevation at the front of the proposed addition is 43.5 feet. Down at the bulkhead, you're looking at an elevation of 8 feet. So it is steep. The flattest part of the property is where we're proposing this two-story addition. But because it slopes upward, the one-story house is at a lower elevation, and that connects to the basement of this new portion of the house. But it's not a three-story house. We vetted this with the building department very thoroughly. It conforms to height, it conforms to pyramid, and it conforms to being only 2 stories with a basement. So,
Excuse me, could you just repeat that again? I was trying to find my survey.
okay.
Sorry. So it connects at the basement
It
level?
connects at the basement level. And we vetted very carefully with the building department, several go-arounds, that it's not 3 stories. But because of the way the property slopes, it's a little confusing. So from the street, it's gonna look like a 2-story house with the basement. The walkout, the basement then connects to the existing 1-story house.
So the original one-story house is going to be the basement?
It's above ground.
Okay.
It's a 1-story house from the roadside, completely above ground. The basement of that connects to the
Okay, sorry,
basement.
sorry, got it.
It's very confusing.
Okay, got it.
Did you submit any renderings or anything? That might,
I brought some up that would be helpful.
I got some plans.
Yeah, we
Wanna
have-
take a look at it, Mike?
I was just asking.
There you go, buddy.
Probably have a smaller.
Hey, Mac,
And Will has some,
Also, I see Will has some renderings.
plans.
I said renderings, I didn't say plan.
It's the best sign of a rendering I got,
most
Mike.
recent ones, there have been a few submissions.
right.
Okay,
Plans.
I'll let Keith figure that out.
we want to make sure it's the most recent one.
So the most recent one should be dated 6/10.
Yep,
That would be
we have
right.
6 then.
610. Okay,
6:10.
back to Mike.
He's back.
Mike wants it again?
Yes. Okay, here you go.
He does?
I have a good angle of the house here from the side if you'd like to take a look. It shows this condition that we're trying to explain to you. But as you can see, the basement of the proposed two-story addition is going to connect to the first story of the existing house.
Maybe if someone could lift that up so that all the board members could see it, that's great.
So this is looking at the driveway, as the existing driveway. And as you can see, 2 stories above grade, that effectively a 2-story house from Hawthorne Road, and then it slopes down. Here's your basement, which is 50% below grade, 50% being on the other side of the house, obviously.
Okay.
And then this is the same level as the first story. You have a cellar level as well that connects to the basement of the existing house, the existing 1-story house. That's where we're connecting conditioned square feet, habitable space.
So habitable space in the cellar, none in the basement.
Yes, habitable space in the basement as well,
On both.
of the existing home, because we're connecting habitable spaces on both. No. I don't know if you want me to keep
It
going.
has to be habitable, heated, conditioned space
to
connecting the
connect.
two. Um,
Very creative.
And then this is also probably a helpful view from the pool. As you can see, there's a walkout basement, which is, and then over on this side, you can barely see it, but that's the first story that currently spills out onto the pool.
I think Candace circulated it. I think Candace circulated it to everybody. It just may have been
You
an
want to show
email.
the front, so show that it's two
Yeah.
stories.
We can pass these
And we can-
down, and we'll obviously submit these as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, that's fine.
And then you can see this is what it actually looks like from Hawthorne Road.
And you're not asking for relief for a third story in your,
No,
No.
it's
it's,
not
it's a finished basement
It's a finished basement. It's unusual because it's at 2 different areas,
built
but
into a hill.
at no point is it considered a 3-story house
Okay.
or above allowable height
Or pyramid.
or pyramid.
Yeah.
So we conform to pyramid height, 2 stories.
Yep.
So the relief that we're asking for the house itself is total side yard, because the existing 9.9 pre-existing setback on the west side of the property. The adjacent property to the west is owned by the town. The adjacent property to the east is owned by the Kleins. Mrs. Klein happens to be David's sister, and they've given us a letter of support, which I can hand out. They're the impacted neighbor for total side yard.
Okay.
Other relief that we're asking for the house is for the 60-foot setback from Hawthorne Road, which the building department is considering a rear yard. And in R40, the rear yard setback is 60 feet, 70 feet. The front yard setback is 60 feet. And this was designed under the assumption that Hawthorne Road was the front yard, the street being the front yard, since, in my opinion, it's not a waterfront property because it fronts on Shinnecock Beach Road, which is owned by the trustees. The water doesn't touch the actual property. According to the deed, according to the subdivision map, it's bordering trustee land, not the waterfront. But
Normally it would be, the front yard would be Shinnecock Bayside.
right, so we can agree to disagree on that. I still think it's well within the character of the neighborhood, because it's probably about 50-50 of the houses on this side of the road, on the waterfront side of, or the south side of Hawthorne Road. About half the properties are within 60 feet. Some are 70, some are 60. So I think there was some inconsistency, some are pre-existing. Across the street, a variance was granted for 31 feet for a swimming pool. At number 32, Hawthorne Road, a variance was granted to 39 feet for a garage addition. At number 42, Hawthorne Road, a variance was granted to 20 feet for a detached garage. The adjacent property to the east, number 46, has a pre-existing setback from Hawthorne Road of 59.5. So that's the adjacent property. On the opposite side of Hawthorne Road, the properties that are not adjacent to Shinnecock Beach Road, none of them meet a 60-foot setback. The average is probably about 41 to 45 feet for all the properties across the street. And I have copies of all those surveys, which I can hand up as well.
I was going back to what Keith mentioned before, because Shinnecock Beach Road is, you're separated from Shinnecock Bay, so I'm in agreement with you that it's, that Shinnecock Bay is not the front yard. But I think he's just pointing out that, if that weren't the case,
No, that's what the building department has said, it's waterfront. That's why.
Really?
The building
Really?
department's not recognizing Shinnecock
Okay.
Beach Road.
I have an intellectual problem with that because
Yeah.
in my opinion, and I've talked to the trustees, I had a discussion with Eric Schultz about it, and he was like, what do you mean? We own that. Yeah. So you may get a referral letter from the trustees.
Saying that.
I mean, they don't care what's the front yard or the backyard, but they
Yeah.
do believe strongly that they own this strip of land. So,
And Adam, we also have a prior variance that says it's waterfront.
Okay.
So it's.
Okay, so we
mean,
we will be consistent with the building department.
Yes.
but the building department did issue a permit in 1998 with a 60-foot setback for a primary structure from Hawthorne Road, which I have a copy of, which I'll hand out. So it's not completely consistent, and nevertheless, a 60-foot setback on this property is within the character of the neighborhood because it would be greater or equal to at least 80% of the residences on this street. So even if I'm wrong, I don't think I am.
Well, I mean, I just think it
it's-
makes it confusing for people to figure out what their front yard is in these kind of circumstances, but,
Right.
hopefully, we don't really see these circumstances very often, so.
Well, this board did issue a variance on this property previously and on the adjacent property. Both cases, you just said this was a waterfront property.
Okay.
And Hawthorne is the rear.
Okay.
So we're going to have to go with that. But I
Okay.
still feel strongly that we're within the character of the neighborhood.
Yep.
With the 60-foot setback. Being 60 feet as opposed to 70 feet from Hawthorne Road also obviously gets us farther away from the water, farther away from the bluff, and into the location on the property which is the flattest and the least likely to cause runoff and erosion.
Well, this asphalt you're putting down is gonna cause some problems there. I'm not really happy about all the asphalt.
Well, there is
Impervious material down there.
an existing.
Better have something to catch it.
Drainage will be required.
better be-
Right. And the
Huh?
engineering department is really cracking down on driveway runoff, so I'm sure when we get to that point, we will be
A
required.
lot of
to-
asphalt's in there, I'm really not,
There's also an
Not-
existing driveway that catches rainwater at the
whatever.
base of
I
the
just,
bluff.
there's a lot of asphalt you're gonna have there
Yeah, like
before it's
this is
over.
new
with. I'm
here.
not particularly happy about
This whole
that.
area is new, based on the prior survey.
Has to be asphalt?
It's pretty steep.
It's pretty steep, yeah, so that pea gravel would erode with
Topography
the,
wise, that's the
Topogra-
problem?
Yeah.
it's just so
You're-
steep, yeah.
The grade,
All right, I'm just making a comment, that's all.
yeah.
If you find it in your heart to try to find something else, then you do that. If you don't, well, then,
There may be a
We'll
hybrid
give you the
solution there.
variance.
We can look at it.
Look at, there is
There's
some
pervious
pervious pavement
Yeah.
that could potentially be a solution here.
Okay.
If that's what would be the hangup, we can easily find it.
My experience with this driveway and the slope is that, because we tried some impervious, and it just falls off.
Yeah.
It just falls off. What we do have is,
buyer beware. You just replace it, that's all.
it doesn't help.
Yeah.
No, it runs, without dry wells at the bottom of the driveway, the runoff just continues onto the bluff.
Are there
We-
dry wells?
We have existing dry wells.
Are you proposing more?
We're gonna-
have
We
to
have-
have
of course.
some,
I'm
yeah.
gonna ask them to condition it.
Of course,
Yeah, yeah.
of
Condition
course, no.
variance upon that.
The work, I am very concerned about the bluff, and because we have the bulkhead in front, but on the town's part of the bluff, there isn't a bulkhead. So I'm very concerned about the bluff, and that's why we put in the existing dry wells, and we wanted to catch the water.
Yeah, and if there's a real issue with the elevation that you're describing, I don't know how much of a difference it would make, whether it's asphalt or pervious.
Exactly.
If we're talking about a slope like that.
Exactly.
It is.
You need to catch the water.
Right. So,
It might help a little, but I'm just, thinking out loud here.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah. On the other hand, Keith is just trying to see if there's a way of, minimizing the amount of water.
Runoff.
Yeah, yeah.
Bay is right there. I know
It's
there's a
good point.
trustee road there, but, I mean, take a look at this aerial right here, you know what I mean? Their structures are the closest to the bay of anybody, you know what I mean? I'm still reverting back to my conservation base, you know what I mean?
Non-jurisdiction before the Conservation Board.
Yeah, and the DEC,
And
I
the
heard it, but
DEC.
that doesn't mean then,
nevertheless, they have protected the bluff, and there's native vegetation all along there. And the driveway will be
appears
engineered and reviewed by the engineering department when we get to that point, and
Yeah.
they will require, they're really cracking down on requiring drainage for driveways. I've seen more attention paid to that lately, so we will definitely address that.
Well, and in this situation.
we've had to address it with certain applications.
We have, but in this situation, it's in the property owner's interests.
Absolutely.
To
Yes.
have this completely covered.
We've
because
built,
Otherwise, it's going to go right, into your house.
we also built a stone revetment on not even our part of the bluff, on the town's portion of the bluff. We
With-
paid
with
for a stone
town's
revetment.
permission. With the town's
With the
permission.
town's permission, with the
Oh,
town's
okay.
permission. We have a
Take it
permit,
easy.
we have a
Take
permit.
it easy.
Because after Sandy, there was a lot of erosion
Yeah.
next to us.
There is an erosion problem on the adjacent property to the west, and at their expense, they did, with the Conservation Board approval, do some rock and beach plantings on that property to try to help that erosion issue.
Yeah.
So it's in their best interest to prevent
Yes,
erosion
yes.
on the bluff. It protects their property.
Right, right.
They're well aware.
And I just want to mention also on the east, this, I'm not sure if it's all on the property, or whether it goes over the property line or not.
So,
Yeah.
are you talking about the stairs, the platform
Yeah,
at the bottom? Okay,
yeah.
so we actually, that's not on the subject property.
Okay.
It's on the trustee's property.
Okay.
And we have, I actually did permit work for the Klein family as well. And we got a Conservation Board permit for recent replacement and shifting the stairs onto this,
Yeah.
onto their property.
I see.
If you're looking at a previous
Yeah, the
version,
previous survey shows.
it just didn't get updated on the survey.
Okay, that's-
So
that's
those
fine.
stairs have been shifted over. This platform at the bottom is to be shifted over a couple of feet at the
Mm-hmm.
trustee's request. But that did receive Conservation Board and trustees' approval to replace all of that and shift it onto the Klein side of the property line. The same with the deck and the stairs on the subject property. Those have been approved by the trustees and approved by the Conservation Board in previous permit work that we've done.
Okay.
over the years. The only other issues that I didn't describe yet, there's a proposed patio on the eastern side of the property, which would require side yard setback as well as total, as well as being in the required side yard. It's a very small patio, it's only about 9 feet wide, and it's really just for access to that side of the property and to get to the sisters' property. They use that as sort of a gateway between the two properties because it is so steep. So that's a little landing there.
Susanna, what's that setback? Like it says, we advertise it as 10 plus or minus. Is it 10?
To the actual patio, I think it's more than 10, because there's a planter that goes around it.
What's the survey say? I don't have that survey.
They don't have it on the survey.
Yeah, I don't have a distance.
Okay, let's
I
get
can
it
get you
added.
that exact dimension.
Well, yeah, it's got to be
not
added to
shown.
the survey.
Yeah, if
I'm
it's
gonna say it's more
anything
like
that needs
12.
relief, we need on the
I got a
survey.
lot of stuff to get us, you know.
No, just that.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's the only thing so far. I've given you things you just aren't looking at the most recent. So the proposed addition will not cause any undesirable change to the neighborhood. It's no closer than the adjacent property or nearby properties. It's no detriment to nearby properties. We have a letter of support from the neighbor to the east. The western property is owned by the town of Southampton, as I mentioned. The benefits cannot be feasibly achieved without an area variance. The only way we could avoid the total side yard variance would be to either tear down the existing home, which we don't want to do. It's still a very nice home in good shape. Or we could build 50 feet from the eastern property line, which would be a very odd, narrow, skinny house, which would not make any sense. The proposed addition is in a location that is the most environmentally sound. It's the farthest from the water, it's the farthest from the bluff, and it's the flattest portion of the property. The variance is not substantial because the addition itself conforms to side yard and total side yard setbacks. And it conforms to what I think should be the Hawthorne Road setback of 60 feet. Conforms to pyramid, it conforms to height, and there's no negative impacts on the physical and environmental conditions. As you point out, that the hardships are not self-created. This is a very undersized lot. Very steep slopes that we're avoiding, the bluff, and we're keeping all of our proposed construction out of Conservation Board jurisdiction. And the location of the pre-existing house makes it very difficult to add on in a conforming way.
I had one other question on the survey. Concrete retaining wall on the east goes over the property line slightly.
This one here,
Yeah. What is that for?
there used to be a parking area for the adjacent property, which the building department made the clients remove as part of getting the CO for their recent construction. So the building department signed off on that removal. The only thing that remains is that retaining wall. I guess they didn't see any reason to remove it. We don't object to it being there. It's just a retaining wall at this point.
Okay. Well, I'm just asking because, anything going over a property line.
I understand.
And I appreciate the fact that it's a family member who's the property owner to the east, but still, either of you might, sell at some point and it's going to be going over a property
I think
line.
the original survey that we submitted, this actually still showed the parking area.
Okay.
But it's been removed for a while. This survey just didn't get updated with the removals and adjustments that happened on the adjacent property.
Okay. Okay. Well, from my perspective, you're doing what you can in order to deal with some limitations on this lot. I think for the most part, we're talking about relatively modest relief, setback relief only, it appears. Other than the, in a side, the, not the deck, the patio being in a side yard. And it does not look like you would have a rear yard to put the patio in, to speak of.
Well, you mean the rear yard being the waterfront side?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. No, we want that, we wouldn't want something.
No, if
waterfront
they
side.
moved the patio on the seaward side of the pool, it would
Yeah,
not be a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a steep part
that's,
of the.
yeah, that's where the sloping is.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
That would risk causing erosion further down on the bluff.
Mhm.
So we're trying to avoid that.
Okay. Any other questions of members of the board? Anthony, Katie? If not, is there anyone from the public who is waiting to be heard this evening in connection with the application of Salzman? This is for property located at 50 Hawthorne Road in Shinnecock Hills. Does not appear to be anyone who wants to speak to us. Yes, building department. Well, I think you may have seen them already and
I've met with
dealt them.
Marjorie multiple times, and I think
Okay.
I've addressed all of her concerns.
Okay.
A lot of the comments she made have been addressed by the revisions to the survey
Okay.
and to the plans.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, I don't have anything further.
Yeah, on your lot coverage, it still refers to the addition as a house.
Proposed house.
Proposed house. You know, I don't know if you'd like to make that consistent.
Yeah.
You need the setback of the proposed patio.
Right.
I'm inclined to ask, is there any way to reduce the size of that patio on the side? Does it need to jut out that far? I know it's your neighbor, I know it's a family member, but that may not be forever, and it does come over pretty far. Did you give that back to Pete?
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're working with something that's existing, so.
That's it,
Well, there is an existing.
There's an existing piece of it, so that's what we.
oh, there is, that's underneath that grayed out piece is down there underneath
Yeah.
that?
Mhm.
Okay.
It's hard to see.
It's hard to see the outline of the existing piece, but
I see
we're
it.
trying to just manipulate it a bit so that it can tie into the proposed addition.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions? Otherwise, if not, Keith, it's yours.
Anybody in the audience?
I already asked. No one in the audience.
No one in the audience. All right. What are we doing about written subs?
We are giving them
7:29.
some time, 7:29.
7:29?
And then decision on 8:5.
I need to update.
Yes. Keith will say it louder than that.
All right, so I'll move to close the public hearing with the exception of written submissions, which must be submitted to the board by 7:29, and I'll call for a determination on 8:5.
Second.
Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you all for being here tonight.
Thank you. Thank
Very happy you were able to join us on our first live meeting
Happy
in
to be here.
a long time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good rest of your night.
Katie, I have copies of all those surveys and letters.
Awesome.
Okay. All right, item 2 on the agenda is Timothy McGrattan, 21 Jones Road, in East Quogue, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-319-4-2. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the town code to legalize a deck attached to the front of the dwelling without the benefit of a building permit. 330-83A4, yards, to allow a deck that is higher than 1 foot above ground to be located within the required front yard, and 2, to legalize a roof constructed over a portion of the front deck without the benefit of a building permit. 330-115C, continuance for a principal front yard setback of 33.4 feet, where 39.9 feet is existing, and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction. Can you pass that to Cornelius?
Good evening. Just have to swear you in unless you're an attorney. If you can state your name and address.
Timothy McGrattan, 21 Jones Road, Hampton Bays, Long Island, New York.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but
Yes,
the
I do.
truth? Thank you. If you can tell us about the application.
The application is because originally, my wife was under the impression that the front deck did not need a permit. It was made of wood. She said someone told her that at town hall. Then we went to town hall to get a permit for the overhang on the deck. And they said, well, you don't have a permit for the deck. So we proceeded to do that. They said, well, why don't you build the overhang, being that the deck has already been built, and then come back. So then we did that. And then they said, it turns out that your overhang, your roof, is too close to the street. So now you need a variance. So that's where I am now.
We're talking about the front, it's labeled front porch on the survey?
Yeah,
not the
front
back- Not the
porch.
back deck. Got it.
No, not, the back deck is a different.
Gotcha.
It's got nothing to do with this.
Did your wife actually go to town?
She
town
said
hall or
she went to
speak
town
somebody?
hall way back when, and she said she came back and she said, the guy said if it's made of wood, you don't need a permit. If it's made of brick or stone, you need a permit.
Does your wife
Maybe
ever
that
lie?
was a-
Does your wife ever lie to you?
Usually, she's not built up. Well, I couldn't say she was lying.
I mean, it
I
would
mean, I
make,
probably should not have believed her.
well,
I should have said,
Yeah.
no, he didn't say, he couldn't have said
That's
that.
personal.
This is
But I
being,
did.
this is being recorded, just so you know.
yeah, yeah, it's going to be televised.
Right, she could see this, so I.
Right.
No,
You're
no.
dead.
Yeah, it would make more sense to me, to be honest with you, if the conversation was that
The
deck-
opposite.
If the deck was a grade, that, you know, that you wouldn't
Right.
need a permit, but that's apparently not what.
But like I said, the confusion mainly came afterwards, okay, we gotta get a permit, so we did, and then the person suggested, when I was there after this, after all these other times, he said, well, why don't you build the roof over it now, and then do the whole thing as an as-built? So then we did the roof, and then we went back and said, okay, let's get a permit as an as-built. And then he said, he looked at some other paper, and he said, turns out it's too close to the street, now you need a variance.
Yeah.
And that's where we are now.
Right, right. Well, just when there is any doubt, better to.
Go back and check.
Yeah, speak with the building department, okay?
I could even have looked that up, probably.
I,
You couldn't
oh,
have.
yeah, probably. But in any case, we want people to do things with permits, of course, and I understand that
Yes.
sometimes people, you know, I don't know, you know, what communications people might have at particular times with anyone at the building department, but also what they tell you is based on what you tell them.
Yes.
So, you know.
That's why, as I said, I really wasn't there the first time. so-
Yeah, okay. So we're trying to legalize these structures. And the good news is that the setback relief is modest, 39.9 to 33.4. To me, in the scheme of things, that's fairly
Right.
modest. And then also relief to allow the portion of the deck in the front yard. Yeah. So let's just take a look.
You also have a shed on the property that the building.
No, that was also taken care of too. The shed was actually, the guy did the survey, because he had to do the survey for the whole thing. And the shed came up 9'6" instead of 10 foot. So then I filled out an affidavit saying that I moved it, which I did. And then it wasn't changed on the survey, so that was sort of a problem, that it wasn't resurveyed. So I was told, well, you really don't have to get a resurvey for that. Fill out the affidavit, which you have a copy of, I believe, saying that I moved it. Now, the other building, if you're talking about another, it's not really a building. I had one of them, it was like a tent with tubular kind of thing. I removed that, because that turned up, and it was on it turned up as a problem at some point. So I was like, forget it, I'll get rid of it. But I believe you're talking about the initial shed.
Yeah, the frame shed that
Yes.
was marked 9.7 and 9 feet away from the property.
Right, and now it's
Yeah.
10 feet, because I moved it over.
Okay. So the question is whether we want to have the survey
Yeah,
revised to
yeah.
reflect that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
okay. So it looks like we're going to have the survey revised.
Okay.
Other than that, we did have comments from the building department. Maybe it had to do with the shed.
Yeah, that's what he just said, the
Yeah,
other
pretty much that's
portable
what it was.
structure.
Yeah, okay. And then this, also a remark, according to the property owner, this portable building will be removed. The survey associated with certificate of compliance shows a conforming principal front yard setback of 40 feet. However, the survey submitted with the application shows a setback of 39.9 feet. So there's a difference between the surveyors in terms of the measurement.
Yes.
Okay, all right, so that was it. I appreciate your explanation as to what happened. You know, as I said before, we want people to, you know, build with permits. Okay, any other questions of members of the board? Anthony, Katie?
Actually, I have a question for Candace and Katie. So do we also need to add relief for the principal structure being 39.9 versus the 40?
39.9 on
The difference
here.
of the surveyors?
Yeah, the surveyor's
I don't
difference.
think so, no.
No?
It's got,
Okay.
You can make a decision if you
I'll
want.
just reference it.
yeah.
Okay. All right, unless there are any other questions, I wanted to ask if there is anyone from the public who would like to be heard this evening in connection with the application of McGrattan. This is for property located at 21 Jones Road in East Quogue. Does not appear to be anyone here. So if not, Cornelius, it is yours.
Okay, seeing hearing no one, move to close the public hearing, leaving open for written submissions only until July 29th with a written decision on August 5th.
And that's revising the survey to show
The
the.
shed location.
So I
Yeah,
have
yeah.
to get, well, it would be another survey really, because I called them already, and they said we have to do everything to revise that survey.
They can't just update.
No, I said, can you just update it, or I could prove that it's 10 feet now? She said, no, we have to do the whole thing over again.
Because it's not the same surveyor?
No, the same survey company.
Well, the problem, the reason that we're asking you to do this is because the variance decision is going to refer to the survey, so we.
It's gotta be right.
So the survey's got to show what's currently there. So
Okay.
I understand it's going to be an expense to you, but that's the issue, is we.
Okay, so I have them do that. They give me a copy, or however many copies, and then who do I give them to?
You give them to Candace.
Okay, and that's before
July 29th.
Before July
Yes.
29th. Hopefully, they'll be able to do it for you by then. They-
Probably, because they had tried to do it, I was considering doing it before, and I asked them if somebody was gonna be in the area to make it easy.
Okay.
And I imagine, like, between now and then, somebody might be in the area again.
Yeah,
And then it's not a special trip.
Okay, so,
okay, okay.
so
But
we
if,
always put a motion on the floor. Did someone second it? Did we vote on it yet?
we haven't voted on it
Did
yet.
we?
Do we have a second?
I'll have a second.
Oh, really? Okay.
Even if they're knocked over your coffee. Aye.
All right, Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you for being here this evening.
Okay, thank you.
Have a good rest of your night.
You too.
Item 3 on the agenda is Matthew Christopherson. 3 Peconic Crescent, Shinnecock Hills, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-191-4-13. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the town code. 1, for a proposed second-story addition to an existing dwelling on a non-conforming lot. 330-84D, pyramid height for a proposed encroachment in the amount of 1,842 cubic feet, plus or minus, 1,436 cubic feet on the south side, plus or minus, 407 cubic feet on the north side, plus or minus, and 2 for a proposed first and second story deck. 330-11, residential districts table of dimensional regulations for a proposed principal front yard setback of 24.3 feet, where 40 feet is required, and any other relief necessary. In addition, to clarify the record, applicant requests relief from 330-11 for a principal minimum side yard setback of 11.5 feet, where 20 feet is required, and a principal total side yard setback of 27.5 feet, where 40 feet is required.
The board has jurisdiction. We pass that to Mike.
Miguel?
Yes, yes. Yep.
Katie, I have some handouts.
Okay. How many do you need, 9? Nine's perfect, yep. If you got them, do you have one for yourself?
I've got 9, I've got one for myself.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening, members of the board. It's very nice to be back in person with all of you. My name is Martha Reichert. I represent the applicant, Matthew Christopherson, I'm from the firm Toomey Latham at 33 West 2nd Street in Riverhead, New York.
Okay.
All
Can you
right.
tell us about the application?
Sure. Well,
That
so
was the original.
the handouts that I have for you are just sort of a synopsis of materials that the board already has in the record. The lot is a non-conforming lot, as the character of the neighborhood in this area is generally these very narrow lots. And so what the applicant is proposing to do here is add a second-story addition. He currently lives in Singapore, but he's moving his whole family back and then plans on living here year-round. So it's a 661 square foot second-story addition, which will bring the house to a total of 1,563 square feet. It needs pyramid relief for the second story due to the narrowness of the lot. And then the other variances that were mentioned in the hearing notice, including the ones in addition, are to sort of clarify the record because of the non-conforming lot. So it's just, there's no increase in those side yard setbacks from what exists currently on the property, but variance relief is being requested just for good housekeeping purposes.
But the house has a CO and everything, it's just, they're
Correct.
just non-conforming for whatever
It was something that
reason.
Marjorie sort of picked up in reviewing it, that she just thought it would be best to clarify the record.
Okay.
So we have a total of 1843 cubic feet of pyramid relief.
Correct.
Okay. And that's for the residents. And then we have setback relief that is really primarily confirming what is currently there?
Correct.
Okay. So I think, as pyramid relief goes, this is on the modest side. I mean, it could be less, but it's on the modest side.
Are there new pyramid plans in that handout? I'm just trying to follow.
Not in the handout. Elevations are in the application itself. Let me just see if there,
Yeah, we know, there is,
oh, you know what, there are.
There
Sorry,
are.
second page
There are.
of the handout
yeah,
contains elevations that show the pyramid.
yeah, and it's in the submission.
Those are the numbers, Adam?
Yeah.
Like, the one I have has something, it has like 1438. So that one's old?
I'm handling this file for Katerina Grinko, but those are the latest numbers that I quoted were what I got from the architect just the other day.
See any
Because
numbers
they're-
attached there? What's that? Oh, see up there.
Whoops.
Volume structure exceeding pyramid line 14.
Katie, are you talking about the volumetric variance for the pyramid relief?
Yeah,
or-
I just
Yeah.
wanted the numbers for the pyramid. Like, they're,
1438.
It was in the,
Yeah.
attached to the application. You have to, it's really, really small.
well, that's what I'm saying. What I
It's
see
there,
is
it's
14.
there, it's really small.
But I,
Need a magnifying glass.
So, right, it's 1,400 on the,
I see the
I think it's the
407.
third page.
I see 407.
right, it's 1,400 on one side and then
Yeah,
the
14.
400 or so
407.
on the other
Yeah.
side.
yeah,
1438.
All right,
It's
that's what I
there.
see, 1438.
it's there,
Okay.
yeah.
And the other one's 407.
Yep,
Correct.
okay.
Yeah, okay,
So it's just slightly off.
okay. And we got just a slight comment from Marjorie, which may have been addressed already.
Sure.
The elevation/pyramid diagram shall be revised to show the pyramid line drawn from average natural grade from all cardinal points, north, south, east, to west, and also show height taken from average natural grade. So I don't know if that was done already, but,
If it hasn't been, then we'll get it into you right after the meeting.
okay, that's fine.
Perfect.
Any other questions or members of the board? Is there anyone from the public who would like to be heard this evening in connection with the application of Christopherson? This is for property located at 3 Peconic Crescent in Shinnecock Hills. If not, Mike, it's yours.
Okay, so you'll check to see if that
Revised.
comment from Marjorie has been addressed. Is there anything else that we're owed?
I don't believe so.
Okay, so we will leave it open for written submissions until July 29th. And you can expect a decision on August 5th.
Second.
Mr. Daly?
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill?
All right.
Ms. Burgess? Ms. Kern?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thanks so much, Martha. Have a good
Very
rest of your
much.
night.
Thank you.
Me too.
All right, item 4 on the agenda is 186 Watermilltown Road, LLC. 186 Watermilltown Road, Watermill, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-80-1-6.1. Applicant requests relief from Town Code 330-77D, placement of accessory buildings, structures, and uses in residence districts for a proposed rear yard coverage of 24.6%, where a maximum of 20% is permitted in the location of the infamous 55 by 110 tennis court and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction.
Good evening.
Can you pass that down to Susan?
Yep.
Let me take this.
Evening, John Bennett for the applicant, Bennett and Reed, 212 Linwood Lane, Southampton, New York. I handed out, in addition to what's before the board, both by the application and our subsequent submission of the 29th, which hopefully you all received. I handed out an aerial photograph, which we've stolen from Google. Oh, maybe we took it from the town of Southampton. So there's GIS subscribers, so I guess we didn't steal it. And then we also have a tax map. This property is actually comprised of 3 merged tax maps. You can see on the bottom, yellow for everyone. And then the aerial shows, most significantly for the purposes of this application, yeah, I mean, you can see it on the survey by reference to the adjoining parcels on the survey. Town of Southampton have an ag reserve easement over it, but I thought it important for you to see that this is an agricultural reserve, and the agricultural reserve has a 50-foot wide access strip into it. So this is a parcel that's not going to have, the only neighbor that would be at all affected by this relief. We've had conversations with Mr. Zaluski. The application originally came in and that we showed the tennis court at 30 feet, which was a conforming side yard setback for principal structure. And then we spoke to Mr. Zaluski. We've shifted it, hopefully you have this revised survey. We've shifted it to 50 feet. That doesn't change the request for the variance for 24.6%, where 20 is permitted in the required rear yard for the principal structure. But what we've done is we've shifted it as a result of the conversations with the neighbor to 50 feet, and also we're sinking the court, which is a significant sound attenuation, much appreciated by Mr. Zaluski. And also, I guess what happened, there was a row of arborvitae, and as often happens, I think the deer like sort of thin out the bottom of them. So what we're going to do is propose a row of Osmanthus gulftide, which
Can you spell that?
yeah, it's right on the survey. I'm glad, thank God the surveyor put it on there.
You don't like it?
Osmanthus, which I've been told is a low-lying plant that will close up that gap between what the deer have eaten from the arborvitae, so all to the neighbor's liking. So again, the idea is to put the tennis court in 24.6% of the rear yard where 20 is permitted. I don't see anyone who's, and that's the benefit that the applicant wants, and I think it's fair to say that there's no negative impact to anyone in terms of the location of this structure. It's surrounded by open space other than by the Mr. Zaluski to the north, who is glad that we've made the accommodations to him. Again, we'll sink the court. It's not a standard size court. It's not 60 by 20. It's 55 by 110. I was quite clear with the applicant that if this is the kind of relief that you want, the court of this size is what the town looks for. We did add, just in terms of how the board has generally looked at these applications, we did supply the board with, I think, 4 applications by our letter of the 29th. One was the matter of 97 Wild Goose Lane, which the board granted relief to 28% for a tennis court. The other one was the matter of 89 Wild Goose Lane, the board granted 25.5, which is essentially what we're asking for here, a little bit, tiny bit less. The matter of Kellis Pond LLC at 134 Kellis Pond Lane, the board granted 27.34, and the matter of Forever Fields, where the relief was granted to 43.3%. And what's interesting about Forever Fields is, as with the instant case, the property is wrapped by agricultural reserve. So there really are no neighbors to be affected by it other than the neighborhood we've come to a nice agreement with. Again, I was actually around when they they imposed this law in terms of limiting the structure, and it was a visual. The idea was a visual, not to get things crowded and not to get too many structures in the rear yard.
You're doing with the rear yard lot coverage?
Yeah, the rear lot
Her
coverage.
boys said that it was created to give people a hard time who wanted tennis courts.
It could have been, probably was
Really?
the case
He
as
said-
well.
he said, what else would it be? What else would it be?
Sounds like something Herb, God rest his soul, would say.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And to a certain degree it was, I guess, but a tennis court is doable here. I think this makes much more sense in terms of opening up the space between the structures. And again, no harm to anybody, and it's similar to the relief that the board has been kind enough to grant in the past. It was a visual thing, but we're not going to have that visual clutter back here because we're surrounded by open space.
We don't set precedents, George.
Excuse me?
We don't set precedents. Each case has its own merits.
Okay, well,
However, it is.
However,
maybe.
However, we have pretty regularly over the years granted a similar amount of rear yard lot coverage relief.
Yeah, it's 25%, I want 25% relief is what it meant, which is, if you're, Anderson used to call that, and again, I'm dating myself, used to call that minimal. So, but in any event, just going through the test, this is the benefit that's wanted, there's no environmental impact, there's no neighborhood impact, and it's the minimal relief. So I don't want to belabor the point.
Yeah, please
Unless there are
don't.
questions.
Please don't.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Tuttle is always very good at shutting me up. This is actually a good thing, probably sometimes.
This is record time you're working on here, Jack.
Okay.
Questions or?
Any questions from the board?
We're good.
Okay, is there anyone from the public who is waiting to be heard this evening in connection with the application of 186 Watermill Town LLC? This is for property located at 186 Watermill Town Road in Watermill. If not, Susan, it is yours.
I propose we close the public hearing, and written submissions due July 29th with a decision on August 5th.
Second.
Okay. Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Nice to see you, John.
Have a fantastic Fourth. It's nice to be back in person, too.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Take care.
Take care. So item 5 on the agenda is Michael and Amy O'Brien, 2838 Quogue Riverhead Road in East Quogue, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-313-1-16. Applicant requests relief from Town Code 330-77D, placement of accessory building structures and uses in residence districts for a proposed rear yard coverage of 27% plus or minus, where a maximum of 20% is permitted for the location of a proposed in-ground swimming pool on a non-conforming lot, and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction. That's for Adam.
Yes. So I just have to swear you both in. You can state your names and addresses, please.
Dave Rodigan, 59-37 Watchog Avenue, East Mauritius.
Okay.
Barbara Radican, same address, 59-37 Watchog Avenue in East Mauritius.
And do you both swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. If you can tell us about the application, and I know, whatever, we'll do what we've been doing on the Zoom meetings in terms of,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
This will
Well,
be a
I'm
little
your
bit.
presentation.
handicapped, so
Yes, yes.
I'm reading lips right now, which is better than Zoom.
Yep.
So,
It's this big.
I'm very loud, but I don't know if I'm loud enough for you.
you're
I can be
good.
loud.
well, we're the agents for the owners of this property. Michael and Amy O'Brien, they've owned that property for about 10 years. It's always been their desire to put in a swimming pool. It's a small lot. It equals only about 11,250 square feet. It's located at 2838 Quogue Riverhead Road in East Quogue. There exists on the property at this time a two-story, single-family residence equaling just over 2,000 square feet on 2 floors. In addition, it has a 24 by 30 detached 1.5-story garage. The property is located in the R20 zoning district, and the lot area equals, as I said earlier, 11,250 square feet. as depicted on a survey that's presented to the board, generated by Harold Francon, Junior PC. It's been updated March 3rd, 2021. The lot itself is part of a filed map known as the Map of Hampton Woods, Section 1. It was filed in September 12th, 1988. The existing home has an updated certificate of occupancy, C080222, dated June 8th, 2008. The existing garage has a valid certificate of compliance built in 2006. The compliance number is A060239. The pre-construction proposed lot coverage has been determined to be 2,414 square feet, or 21.5%. The post-construction lot coverage after the pool is placed is to be determined of 2,806 square feet, or 25% plus or minus. This is an increase of 3.5% over what's existing. The pre-construction rear lot coverage at this time is 837 square feet and equals 18.6% plus or minus. The post-construction rear lot construction or coverage will be 1,227 square feet, or 27% plus or minus, where 20% is allowed. The surrounding neighborhood is consistent, made of like same single-family residence home. The immediate surrounding properties all have in-ground pools themselves. The subject property is already heavily landscaped, has a 6-foot existing fence, and it doesn't appear that this would interfere with the privacy of any of the immediate bordering neighbors. Granting this relief will in no way be a detriment to the health, the safety, or the welfare of the neighborhood. I've prepared and copied for the board 3 recent decisions of like same relief that have been granted within the past 6 months. I can read those for the record, or I have prepared those documents, those decisions for the legal department. If you want me to read it into the record, I will. If not, it's here.
You can submit them. I mean, it's up to you, but you can
Okay.
submit them.
In closing, I'd just say that, again, it seemed like a minor thing. Again, it's these postage stamp lots have built-in problems when people are looking to expand. I would field any questions right now, if any of the board has, or if there's someone that's looking to oppose the application.
Okay, well, we got building department comments, so I just want to read them, but the first one is really important. The survey shall be, this is from Marjorie Riley, building inspector, and it says, the survey shall be revised as follows. Number 1, remove the proposed pool from the total lot coverage calculation, as this calculation shall only include roof building structures. Now, that's total lot coverage. I don't know if that applies to rear yard lot coverage. I don't think it does. Okay. 2, indicate the setback where the rear yard coverage is being taken from. And 3, any overclearance shall be addressed with the building department and the planning division. 2, though not part of this application, the outdoor shower was installed without the benefit of a building permit and shall be legalized.
Outdoor shower.
Yep.
Yeah,
And,
the property owner knows that.
okay. And then any fence over 4 feet in height would need to be legalized as well. So if they have any fences that are over whatever is required, whether it be 4 feet or 6 feet, they would need to be reduced in size to conform with the requirements, the height requirement. The survey shall be revised to relabel the street as Quag Riverhead
We
Road.
did that.
Okay.
We've had that
Yeah.
done, yeah.
Yeah, so actually, the removal of the in-ground pool is just for total lot coverage, not rear yard lot coverage, according to what I'm reading, unless I'm missing something here. So, yeah, so we still need the relief for the rear yard lot coverage. Because if it would have said the pool is exempt from your rear yard lot coverage, then you might not need a variance at all. But apparently you still do. So this application is really being driven by the fact that there's this big garage in the backyard.
Right.
That's, if not for that, you wouldn't have an issue with rear yard lot coverage. And usually, when we get applications for rear yard lot coverage, they're for tennis courts, not for pools. We rarely get them for pools. This is a very small pool. And I know you did that, I'm sure, because of rear yard lot coverage.
He did compromise size.
Yeah, yeah. So, that having been said, 27%, well, like the last application, we do grant rear yard lot coverage sometimes in that range.
Right.
But usually it's for tennis courts, not for pools.
They wanted a pool.
I understand. And I'm not going to suggest that the pool be any smaller, because I don't think it can be any smaller and still be a pool that's of any use to anybody. I mean, it could be, but I don't know how useful. So, anyway, so that's what it is, that this is being driven by this garage, in my view. How do we feel about this?
Can I just ask, in this area, it seems like everybody has a pool. Everybody has a pool.
All the bordering properties have a pool.
Right.
I believe the house directly to the south, small lot, no pool.
Okay.
But generally pools in the area.
Right.
Yeah.
definitely.
Right.
Yeah,
To the character of the neighborhood.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's
yeah.
You're right, it's a small lot with a small pool.
Right.
Right.
With a small pool
We're
as
not
well.
talking about somebody trying
No,
to
20 by
build somewhere
40,
huge.
right, yeah,
Yeah.
14 by
Right.
28,
Right,
yeah.
pretty modest.
All right.
Okay.
Anybody out there?
Any other questions or members of the board? Is there anyone from the public who was waiting to be heard in connection with the application of O'Brien? This is for property located at 28, is it 38 or 58?
38.
2838 Quogue Riverhead Road in East Quogue. Okay. I forgot to ask whether you've heard from any of the neighbors.
Not at all.
Not at all?
No.
Okay,
We have, and everything came back that we sent out, so they
Oh.
all responded.
okay, very good. Okay, so I have a lead on this one, so I would move that we close the application.
Adam, wait, let me just ask a
Yes.
question. So the revised survey, does this address a lot of those notes, do you think, or do you
Well,
think
we-
you still need to go
The
back?
street, he changed the street.
Yeah.
Does the survey address everything that that they want?
I'll have to digest that.
Okay, well then, yeah, just let us know, Dave. If you need to revise the survey again, you'll have to submit
Yeah,
that.
we'd
Okay.
have to submit it. If-
We'll take a
if-
look at it.
Yeah, just make sure that what's in the building department comments is covered.
Okay.
That's all.
Very good.
Okay, so I would move that we close the application of O'Brien, except for written submissions. The deadline for written submissions is end of business on July 29th, and I will have a decision ready on our August 5th meeting.
Second.
Okay.
Mr. Daly?
If we make application to legalize both the fence and the shower,
In the shower.
okay, once we make the application and prove that it's in the process, will you make a decision based on that? Or is that requisite before you make a decision?
Well, I mean, we would be rendering a decision.
It would be
that-
conditioned.
It would be conditioned.
Right.
Yeah.
Conditioned on, obtaining all the necessary permits that you need
Right,
Right.
on the property.
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Here's this, Adam.
Okay, all right. Okay, Mr. Daly?
Aye.
Mr. Tuthill?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess? Ms. Kern?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you. What a difference.
I know, right?
Yeah,
Thank
Good
you
to
so
see
much.
you guys.
thanks.
Item 6 on the agenda is Kimberly McCready, 16 Columbia Avenue, West Hampton, Suffolk County Tax Map 900, -354-3-57.1. We have jurisdiction already, right?
It was re-advertised.
That's a
So,
re-ad,
yeah,
all
You gotta
right.
read it. Yep.
Applicant requests relief from Town Code 330-11, Residential Districts Table of Dimension Regulations for an accessory distance from street setback front yard of 33.6 feet where 50 feet is required for a proposed 20 by 23-foot garage, and relief from Town Code 330-76D, placement of accessory building structures and uses in all districts, and 330-83C yards to allow the proposed garage to be located within the required front yard of the principal building on a non-conforming lot and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction.
Good evening, just have to swear you in unless you're an attorney. If you can state your name and address.
My name is Linda Rarisi, Definitive Design is my business, located at 18... Sure, I'm sorry. Linda Rarisi, Definitive Design, office is located at 18 Hunter Avenue, Miller Place, New York, 11764.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. You can tell us about the application.
The applicant is seeking to construct a 460-square-foot garage on a non-conforming lot in the R20 zoning district with road frontage and access on Columbia Avenue. The garage is set back for 53.5 feet from Columbia Avenue in conformance with the minimum side, sorry about that, 53.5 feet from the Columbia Avenue in conformance with the minimum setback requirements for same. However, this lot is technically a corner lot as it also fronts on a paper road, Fairview Street, a portion of which has been abandoned and incorporated into the subject property. However, until such time as the second half of the paper road has been abandoned by the adjacent property owner, it's still considered a road and therefore front yard distance from the street setbacks apply, which is 50 feet. We're proposing 33.6. If the other half of Fairview is abandoned at some point, then the lot line would become a side lot line and the garage would meet the minimum side yard setback requirements.
Okay.
With that said, it is actually, the only available remedy to this relief is the form of a ZBA. Other than that, the comments from Marjorie in the building department wanted the survey to show the NAVD 1988 notation, which they have done. I just don't have the survey, but it will be picked up tomorrow.
Okay.
The architect also did a plan showing it to be 17 feet in height, which the requirement would be 20 and under. So I believe that everything that, and also the shed is actually being taken down. So, because that is part of a issue as far as conforming
Yeah.
with the building department, but it is being taken down. It's noted on the survey
Okay.
to be taken down as well.
Yeah, okay. Is that the 10 by 12?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so in the survey you'll be submitting, it'll say to be removed.
Yes.
That's fine. Okay. And pretty much, so the revised survey is going to cover Marjorie's comments?
Correct.
Pretty much?
Yes.
Okay.
And then also the architect also had a copy of the comments. He did a separate showing the 17-foot, which I'm going to forward to them as well.
Okay. Okay, so basically this is a circumstance that's created by a paper road.
Correct.
Yeah. That may at one point be completely abandoned.
Yes. that's
Yeah.
what's done.
Yeah. All right. Any questions from members of the board? Or Katie, or Anthony?
No, but just one thing on these side, these road abandonments, that
Sure.
they are a real nightmare.
Okay.
And just for the record, once half the road's been abandoned, like in this case, it ultimately can never become a road at that point. So it's an academic exercise that we're dealing with, and we're actually trying to address in planning to see if we could code a little bit.
Okay.
That would be good.
Very good.
Yeah, okay. All right, is there anyone from the public who is waiting to be heard this evening in connection with the application of McCready? This is for property located at 16 Columbine Avenue in West Hampton. If not, Helen, it is yours.
I want to mention, Linda, I went to the property, and I have no problem with it. We'll close the hearing and keep it open for written submissions, so you'll do whatever that was spoken about. And you'll have till July 29, and then with a decision by August 5th.
Okay, great.
And you have two wonderful clients. Really, really wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Second.
Down there.
Second, okay. Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Tuthill.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you for
Thank you
being
so
here.
much.
Have a good night.
You too, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
The holdover applications, the next item I have is number 9, NYC ELEX Real Estate Holdings Development Corp., 376 Main Street in Eastport, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-349-2-24.
Hello,
Good evening.
thank you. Like each one of these folded over things is a complete set?
Yes.
Package. There's some revised surveys and some.
Okay. This is all you got?
plans. I only have 6. I'm
Okay.
sorry. I couldn't remember how many board members there were.
It's hard to tell in Zoom, but more than 5.
We'll be 7, we're not always here, all of us, that is. One missing tonight,
So that's the original, so Cornelius.
okay?
And
I wasn't here at the 6/17 meeting. Was anything
we'll share.
significantly discussed?
Yep,
Did you-
they can
we-
update
we
us,
heard
yep.
it? Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
they wanted to keep
So
the
we're gonna-
two-family, remember they wanted to keep the two-family?
One.
We're gonna share copies of this. Okay. Okay, so if you can give us an update. Don't have to swear you in again.
Since the last time we were here, there was an issue brought up about keeping the two-family residence. That went to planning for discussion last week, and we watched the video. I know they were very in favor of it. I think one of the comments was, have you seen the traffic lately? We definitely need some affordable housing. So that's where we left it. I don't know what the final decision was with planning. So that's...
Okay.
And I did have the surveys revised based on your recommendations last time to remove the driveway area and everything, the shed that's being removed and the walks from the square lot coverage, and it brought it down greatly under what's even required.
So lot coverage relief is, you don't need lot coverage relief now?
No.
Okay, all right, well, that's good.
One thing about, talk about the neighbor for a minute.
Sure.
He's still against it,
We did
but
meet
not
with him,
really.
yeah.
We met with him twice. He said, I guess so, but I'm just, not in favor of it. I guess he just doesn't want that housing on his block, that's all.
I know there was an issue brought up the last time from the neighbor about parking. He was
Took care of
concerned that
that.
there was going to be like too much parking. We did revise the survey to show some additional parking in front of the house so that there would be no parking. I mean, I don't think there'd be any parking in the street. It's a fairly long driveway. It's basically
So we designed the driveway now.
80-something feet back is the house, so it has a long
Designed the
enough
driveway now
driveway.
so you can actually come in and pull into an actual spot. So you don't have to worry about, hey, mama, can you move the car? One of those deals.
I know there was an issue brought up too about additional traffic on this street. I know it's a dead end, but I don't know if they realize, but this is the first house on the street, so it's not like there's going to be traffic driving past their house to get to this house. This is the first house, you pull in, you pull back out onto Montauk Highway, so.
And the rentals, there was a concern about the rentals that are in the house that faces Montauk Highway. Those are not the kind of rentals that you would typically find on the beach. These are working man's rentals. The people that rent these houses have been there since 2015, continuous same tenants. And they're year-round. Is there any other questions?
So just going over the relief, so for Lot A, what is the lot width? Is it still 80? Because it was plus or minus advertised.
8290 for Lot A.
80 to 90. And then what relief did you say is eliminated?
We were asked, we originally had in the lot area coverage calculations, they included, the surveyor actually included the driveway and the walks the first time, so he removed the driveway and the walks and the frame shed, the 10 by 20 foot shed that's being removed. So that lowered the total lot coverage to, proposed total lot coverage is going to be 13%.
Okay, so that conforms.
Lot A is 16% for total lot area, rear yard 12%.
Okay, so they both comply. They're both under 20.
Yeah, and Lot B is 8% for total lot coverage and 11% for rear yard.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'm in charge of photocopies, so if you want some extra copies, just let me know.
You
All
had
right,
no
so,
idea.
yes, we just have to have Marge look at the, the revisions. But Anthony, planning board was good with all of this? Do we have a revised report, or?
Yeah, want me to come up? or-
Sure.
eh?
We don't have to, I spoke to the board, we don't have to do a revised report. We did the report, it supported the project. We had discussions with the neighbor. We know, and some of the board members mentioned this, next door to the auto repair shop, we already say in the report, we're going to put a notice covenant on there as well, so people are aware, that there could be a nuisance next door. The planning board grapples with this, density versus affordable housing, but 2 existing rental units, which we desperately need here on a year-round basis. And look, affordable housing, sometimes you can't provide it on a 1-acre piece of property in Bridgehampton. So you got to sort of take it sometimes where the private sector is willing to build it.
And there's pre-existing use.
And there's pre-existing use. So the planning board is in full support of this, and we don't have to do any other reports.
Okay.
Okay, excellent. Okay. Well, I would ask if there's anyone from the public who wishes to be heard, but there does not appear to be anyone, so, well, that's good for you guys.
Yeah. You had no idea how much you were going to have to go through to get to this point, did you, on this, right?
No,
You've been
I
to-
think the next longest project we had was a shopping center, and it took almost.
A shopping center,
Can I
right?
have
Yeah.
this?
You've been working on this for a long time.
Yeah, and we appreciate your efforts. Okay.
Appreciate your
I know it's been a lot.
It's been a long time since we've been here, so.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
too.
especially.
A lot different
in a-
on the television.
Yeah, yeah. Any other questions, members of the board?
Adam, just before you close,
Yes.
I just want to make sure I have the right name. Is Sherry? Because I
Yes.
didn't hear her name in the beginning.
Yes,
so-
Sherry.
Sherry, okay.
Yes.
Okay, very good.
She knows me.
Okay.
Yes, I do, Jason.
Okay, if not, if there's no further questions, Cornelius, it is yours.
Waiting on anything? No?
I don't think so.
Okay. I'll move to close the public hearing, leaving open for written submissions only until July 29th, with a written decision on August 5th.
Second.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you for being here and staying with us
Very much.
tonight.
Yep, appreciate it. Nobody wants more
I
copies?
did have one.
We're good.
Yeah, last one on, so, but it's an early night for us.
You and I will get together next week.
Okay, thank
chat.
you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a good Fourth of July weekend.
You too.
Thank
Thank you.
Cornelius does.
Bye.
All right. Item 10 on the agenda is Gold Coast Development LLC. This is an amended decision on December 17, 2020, by decision number D 020121. This board granted variances in connection with a proposed 2-lot subdivision. This decision is being amended to include relief from Town Code 330-11, Residential Districts Table of Dimension Regulations, for a principal minimum side yard setback for an existing dwelling as advertised and discussed during the public hearing. Cornelius, it's all yours.
I have the amendment in my possession, so I'll read it now. In the matter of the application of Gold Coast Development LLC, property located at 34 Jagger Lane, West Hampton, New York, tax map 900-369-3, lot 27.4. On December 17, 2020, by decision number D 020121, this board granted variances in connection with a proposed 2-lot subdivision. This application was advertised for, and the board discussed several variances, including a principal side yard setback of 15 feet, where 20 feet is required for an existing dwelling. However, this decision inadvertently did not include this variance in the relief granted. This board finds the request to be a type 2 pursuant to SECRA, and further finds that it meets the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and Southampton Town Code. As such, ZBA decision number D020121 is hereby amended to grant relief from Town Code 330-11, Residential Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations, for a principal side yard setback of 15 feet where 20 feet is required. All of the provisions of D020121 remain in full force and effect.
Second.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
I have another.
Yep, we have a
Oh,
couple of
both
decisions.
that one. Okay, all right. I have Decision in the matter of Ellis Jeffrey Tunkel, property located at 18 Bayview Road, Noyak, New York, tax map 919-115. Applicant, I'll read the requested relief at the end. The premises is located at 18 Bayview Road, Noyak. It's 21,000 square feet. At the public hearing on this matter, Katie Frank from Kriesman PC appeared on behalf of the applicant and testified that they seek variances in order to construct a one-story addition to an existing dwelling and to permit a garage to be located within the minimum and total side yard. Ms. Frank explained that there will be no impact on the neighborhood as the proposed variances are modest. Noted that the property lines are heavily vegetated. Meets the five-part tests. Therefore, this board grants relief from the following provisions of the Town Code. Town Code 330-84D, pyramid height for proposed encroachment in the amount of 122 cubic feet, 115 northwest side, 7 northeast side for a proposed one-story addition to an existing dwelling, and Town Code 330-76D, placement of accessory buildings, structures and uses in all districts, and Town Code 330-83C, yards to allow the detached garage to be located within the minimum and total side yard for the principal building. These variances are granted structures as shown on the survey prepared by Paul Parilski, Land Surveying, last dated May 20th, 2021, and the site plan and elevations prepared by Julian M. Palacio Silva, last dated June 3rd, 2021, received by the ZBA July 1, 2021. The grant of the foregoing relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises.
Second?
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
I have a determination as well.
Yep. We're ready.
It's not going to be as long as this, but this is in the matter of the application of Jennifer Rossi for principal total side yard setback relief for premises located at 3832 Noyak Road, Noyak, identified on Suffolk County Tax Map as 900-15-3-55. The Zoning Board of Appeals finds in this instance applicant is established as entitled to the requested relief, variance relief. The board finds the benefit to applicant in granting the variance outweighs detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood and community by such grant. Further, it finds that the granting the variance passes the standards set forth in Town Code as well as in New York State Town Law. Therefore, this board grants applicant relief from Town Code Section 330-15C continuance for a principal total side yard setback of 27.4 feet, where 40.3 feet is existing for a proposed one-story addition to an existing one-story dwelling, as shown on the survey prepared by Saskis Surveying Company, PC, dated January 20th, 2021, and incorporated herein. The grant of the foregoing relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has heretofore acquired or may otherwise be necessary for final approval of the proposed one-story addition to be built at the subject property.
Second.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Tuttle.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
I have one quick thing. We have advertised our next meeting for 6 PM already, but I know that a couple of the board members wanted to discuss going back to 7 or 6:30. I don't know how everyone's schedules are. So I told Adam that I thought it was worth just discussing. I know that Helen wanted to keep it at 6, so did Brian. I know that Mike wanted to make it later. So can we just get a consensus? Because the next meeting will have to be at 6, but after that, we can advertise for later if there's a will.
Just for traffic purposes, for me to get here from Watermill, it's difficult at 6. I mean,
Okay.
The traffic is just.
So Susan would like later. Cornelius, how about you?
6 works best for me, but whatever works best for the group, I'm okay with.
Okay, Mike, you wanted later, right?
You know, it's not that big of a deal.
It's not either for me,
If
but
6
it's
is
just-
consensus, you know, I'll get here, I'll just take
Well, Adam,
take a
Adam, what were your
flight,
thoughts? You
know,
wanted
and
later, right?
I'll leave right after lunch from Southampton.
Yeah.
Michael say 6.
No,
Hold
it
on.
was a nightmare, I couldn't
It's
do
a
it.
nightmare.
No,
lunch,
Michael's
breakfast.
preference was later.
Mike, I'll meet you at the hotel.
Michael,
for
did
lunch.
you say
Work our way back, how's that?
Michael, did you say 6?
No, Michael had said later, but he's trying to be flexible, but I think
Right.
Adam, you wanted later as
I
well.
wanted later too, but I'm flexible as well, so,
How about
I mean.
6:30?
And Keith, what was your preference?
I'm good with 6. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Whatever appeases most people, I don't care. I'm retired.
Kind of like 3 and,
Thank you, Pete. Oh, should I tell Charlie?
I don't think
to turn
that's,
it off?
the half hour is going to make a difference.
I was trying to ask him if that's what he said.
Yeah, I
think the
did,
half hour's
I did
gonna make a
suggest
difference.
6:30 as a consideration, but I don't know, we tend to like to do
Well, I
things
mean,
on the
and
hour.
also, we don't have to decide this forever. I mean, we
Yeah.
can do 6 o'clock for, I don't know, a couple of meetings, and if it becomes a problem for people to make it here, then we'll deal with that then. I mean,
Thank you.
we can try it. I mean, I'm self-employed, so I can leave early, but I'm leaving early.
But
so-
you're also coming from the west to the east.
I
where
am, where I'm going opposite
The
the really bad
remake of
traffic.
Ben-Hur is happening.
Katie?
Yes, I understand.
Would it screw us up if we did, like, I'm assuming July and August are the worst times for you guys to travel? Would it be possible to do 7s for the months that it screws them up?
Well, that's-
And
well-
6s for the other?
I think so. I think we have to decide so we can give notice. Like I said,
Right, for the-
August,
for the
I mean,
other.
July has to be 6 because we've already advertised it. If you think that you want to do August at 7, we need to know today
Right, right.
so that we
I
can
I think
advertise.
that's a mistake. I think you need to be consistent.
Okay.
Whatever it is, period. That's it. We'll make do.
Leave it at 6, and then the late
Yeah.
nights won't be as late
Yeah.
as they have
Okay.
been.
But if it turns out that we're
If
at
it's-
6 and
we'll
it's
bring it up
really,
again.
really a problem for people, then we'll
Okay.
deal with that at a future date. But for now, we'll continue at 6.
Okay, thank you.
Are we done?
Okay.
That goes in your folder.
Okay. Anything else? Yes. Motion to close.
Motion made.
Do we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.